The earth trembled under the weight of the giants, their massive forms casting shadows over cities and plains. They were the offspring of fallen angels and human women, cursed beings of immense power. Humanity cowered in fear, their weapons useless against these towering creatures. The land was no longer their own, overrun by monstrous abominations. Among them, three types of giants emerged, each more terrifying than the last. They were the Nephilim, the Gibborim, and the Rephaim. Each had their own nature, their own horrors, and each left behind a legacy of destruction and despair. The Nephilim were the firstborn of the fallen, their creation an unholy act of defiance. They were massive, towering over mortals like living mountains. Their strength was beyond comprehension, capable of shattering stone with their bare hands. They roamed the earth, devouring everything in their path. Cities fell beneath their wrath, their walls crumbling like sand. Their hunger was insatiable, consuming both beasts and men alike. No force could stand against them. No warrior could bring them down. Their very existence was a curse upon the world. The Gibborim were warriors among giants, bred for war and conquest. Unlike the Nephilim, they were not mindless destroyers. They were cunning, organized, and driven by an insatiable thirst for battle. Their bodies were wrapped in iron and bone, their weapons forged from the ruins of fallen civilizations. They led armies of lesser creatures, waging wars that spanned centuries. Kingdoms rose and fell beneath their rule. Their names whispered in terror. The fallen angels saw them as champions, instruments of their will. They were the warlords of the ancient world, unstoppable in their march. The Rephaim were something even darker, creatures that defied the boundaries of life and death. Unlike their brethren, they did not simply perish when struck down. They lingered, their spirits clinging to the world, refusing to fade. Legends told of Rephaim rising from their graves, their eyes burning with unnatural fire. They were the ghosts of giants trapped between realms, haunting mankind for generations. Their presence brought sickness, madness, and despair. Even the strongest warriors feared them, knowing death was not the end. They were eternal, an everlasting terror upon the earth. The Nephilim ruled through sheer might, crushing all in their wake. They tore through forests, mountains, and valleys, reshaping the land itself. No army could oppose them. No structure could withstand them. Their voices were like thunder, shaking the heavens with every roar. Some claimed they were as tall as the tallest trees, their steps causing earthquakes. They fought among themselves, their battles leveling entire cities. The sky darkened wherever they marched, as if the world itself mourned. Their reign of destruction seemed without end. The Gibborim built empires, their rule stretching across vast territories. They enslaved entire nations, forcing men to build monuments to their glory. Their cities were carved into mountains, their fortresses indestructible. They studied the arts of war, perfecting their tactics over centuries. No army stood a chance against their legions, trained in the ways of bloodshed. The fallen angels guided them, whispering forbidden knowledge into their ears. They created weapons no mortal had ever seen, forging blades infused with darkness. They were kings, rulers of a world drowning in fear. The Rephaim, however, were something else entirely, a horror that could not be escaped. They did not hunger for power like the others. They hungered for souls. When a Rephaim was slain, its body would rot, but its spirit remained. Some possessed the living, turning them into vessels of destruction. Others haunted the ruins of fallen civilizations, whispering to those who wandered too close. They were bound to the world, unable to pass into the afterlife. The curse of their existence spread wherever they roamed. They were the nightmare that never ended. In the days of Enoch, mankind sought refuge from the giants, but nowhere was safe. The Nephilim hunted them, the Gibborim enslaved them, and the Rephaim tormented them. The earth groaned beneath the weight of these monstrous beings. The people prayed for salvation, but none came. The Watchers, the fallen angels who fathered these creatures, reveled in their chaos. They watched as their children reshaped the world into a kingdom of terror, and for a time it seemed as though humanity would be erased forever. Some men tried to fight back, forging weapons of iron and stone. They gathered in great numbers, hoping to stand against the giants, but their blades shattered against the skin of the Nephilim. Their arrows did nothing against the armor of the Gibborim. Their priests could not banish the spirits of the Rephaim. Hope faded as village after village fell, swallowed by the darkness. Even the greatest warriors could only delay the inevitable. The giants were gods among men, unstoppable and merciless. Enoch, the great scribe and prophet, watched the world descend into ruin. He walked among the people, warning them of the coming judgment. He saw the Nephilim feasting upon the innocent, their laughter shaking the earth. He witnessed the Gibborim forging their empires in blood. He felt the presence of the Rephaim lurking in the shadows, their whispers filling the wind. He knew that the Most High had seen enough. The giants had defiled creation, and now their doom was sealed. The flood was coming. The heavens stirred as Enoch's words reached the throne of the Almighty. A decree was made, one that would change the course of history. The giants would not be allowed to roam the earth any longer. Their fathers, the fallen angels, would face judgment first. Bound in chains, they would be cast into the abyss, never to rise again. Their children, the giants, would be wiped from existence. The flood would come, washing away their sins. The days of terror were numbered. As the floodwaters gathered in the heavens, the giants sensed their end approaching. The Nephilim roared in defiance, challenging the sky itself. The Gibborim rallied their armies, hoping to resist the will of the Almighty. The Rephaim, knowing death could not claim them, vanished into the shadows. But no power could stop the divine wrath that was about to descend. The mountains trembled, the rivers overflowed. The world was on the brink of cleansing. The giants, once feared as gods, now faced the judgment of the true Creator. One by one, the Nephilim fell as the waters rose. Their mighty forms were swallowed by the flood, their strength meaningless before divine power. Their bones shattered as the earth tore itself apart beneath them. No land was high enough to save them, no fortress strong enough to endure. Their roars turned into cries of agony as the waves consumed them. They had ruled for centuries, but their time had come to an end. Their bodies sank beneath the waters, never to be seen again. The Nephilim were no more. The Gibborim, with all their wisdom and might, could not escape their fate. They gathered in their great cities, watching as the sky darkened. The flood came swiftly, breaking through their walls like paper. Their weapons, their armies, their knowledge, none of it mattered now. They had built empires meant to last forever, but all was lost. Their final screams were drowned beneath the tide. The warlords of old were washed away, their reign buried beneath the waves. The Gibborim were no more. The Rephaim, the spirits of the dead, did not die as the others had. Their bodies were destroyed, but their souls lingered. Banished from the physical world, they became shadows cursed to wander forever. Some believe they still haunt the ruins of ancient cities. Others whisper that they take new forms, waiting for the right moment to return. The flood did not erase them. It only changed them. They would rise again in the days to come. The Rephaim were not truly gone. Though the giants perished, their memory remained, etched into the fears of mankind. Their bones lay buried beneath mountains and oceans, silent witnesses to a lost age. Legends of their terror would be passed down through generations. Some would worship them, mistaking their strength for divinity. Others would seek their knowledge, hoping to reclaim their forbidden power. But those who remembered the days of Enoch knew the truth. The giants were not gods, they were monsters, and their return would mean the end of all things. The echoes of the giants' destruction still lingered in the hearts of men. Though the flood had wiped their physical forms from the earth, their legacy endured. In hidden places, ancient texts whispered of their return. Some believed that remnants of their bloodline still walked among mortals. Others feared that the fallen angels, once bound in darkness, would rise again. The battle had been won, but the war between light and darkness was far from over. The Watchers still stood guard, waiting for the next great defiance, for history had shown that evil never truly sleeps. As the floodwaters receded, a new world emerged, cleansed yet fragile. Noah and his family stepped onto dry land, their hearts heavy with the memory of destruction. They had seen the wrath of the Almighty, had witnessed the fall of the mighty, but they also knew that humanity would rise again, for better or worse. The earth had been given another chance, but free will remained.